What's up, Zox fam? We're back with some more Etheria Restart. Now, we're going to be getting into an overview of the Abyssal Nightmare Tiamat, also known as Dragon Mother Tiamat. This is the type of unit that I honestly will say is currently the reigning queen in PvP in terms of being able to flip the scale and turn the tide of battle at any given moment. She is also excellent in PvE, and we're going to go over her immediate value that you'll be getting. Now, when you're looking at what type of unit Tiamat is, she is basically an AoE control DPS. And there's a lot of different things that make this the case. So we're going to start off getting into her first skill, which is going to be called Thunder Spear. There's a lot to definitely go through and explain, but Tiamat swings her spear to pierce the target, dealing 2 hits of damage equal to 10% of her max HP to a single enemy, consuming 8% of her current HP with each hit and adding real damage equal to 100% of the consumed amount. With her Mother of Evolution effect, it shares 25% of the damage taken by other allies. For every 12% max HP loss or healed, gains 1 stack of bloodshed. And when bloodshed reaches 8 stacks, enters ultimate form, healing 30% of the max HP and immediately gaining a turn. Bloodshed has each stack increases healing received by 4%, which can go up to 20 stacks. And this effect cannot be dispelled. And then also for the ultimate form, Tiamat will transform or take on this ultimate form and then gains and can only use Purge Day, and then loses increasing stacks of bloodshed at the end of each turn. Turn 1, 2 stacks, turn 2, 4 stacks, and turn 3, 8 stacks, and then loses 16 stacks of bloodshed every turn afterwards. When there are no bloodshed stacks left, she exits the ultimate form, and this effect cannot be dispelled. So this is just the beginning of literally a nightmare, where she's basically a unit that always wants to create a deficit in taking her own HP. She's also able to damage share, which is going to be protecting your party. And then on top of that, she has this transform gimmick, actually making her one of the only characters that can completely change forms and go into a completely different mode. Now, when we get into her skill 2, the Seal of Life, basically Tiamat establishes a mental bond with allies, consuming 25% of her current HP to apply a 2-turn heal over time and shield buff to all allies. The shield amount equals 120% of HP consumed. For every 1 stack of bloodshed Tiamat has, the shield amount increases by 5%. So you get the heal over time, which basically is when the turn starts, recovers 15% of max HP, the shield that absorbs an equal amount of damage, and then obviously more bloodshed stacks. And then for the skill 3, this is what's going to be the thing that actually is going to change when she transforms. But in her base form, Tiamat basically has the ability where she consumes her own life to empower her spear and throws it to penetrate enemies, consuming 30% of her current HP to deal 2 hits of damage equal to 10% of her max HP to all enemies, with a 60% chance to inflict 1 turn of Taunted. And Taunted basically makes it to where the enemies are automatically going to cast their first skill on the taunting enemies and cannot take any other action. They can literally do nothing but only skill 1. Now, when you actually go into her ultimate form, this ability will actually change, and this will be the only ability that she can use, and it is called Purge Day. Tiamat unleashes a purifying flame to incinerate enemies, dealing damage equal to 15% of her max HP to all enemies, and adding additional real damage or true damage equal to 13% of her current HP and recovering HP equal to 20% of the damage dealt. This skill does not generate cooldown because it's literally a skill that she can spam as long as she's in her ultimate form. So this is endless nuking that can basically take place, and not only is she going to be nuking you really hard, but she's also going to be moving and rotating fairly quickly as well. These are just simply the skills that she's bringing to the table. Now, as far as module recommendations, I would highly recommend the Wellspring set, which is going to be increasing at a max set HP by 45%. Also in the early game, I would definitely say Unbreakable set could be usable, where it's actually going to be giving you defense of 45%. And this is just kind of to balance out some of the bulkiness or the loss of HP she also will be experiencing, and also the HP yield that she'll also have at the early stages in the game. Now, once you get a little bit more investment on your account, I definitely would recommend the Strive set, because it makes it to where you get a defense increase of 10%, and after being attacked, it will increase your strike prep by 10%, which basically makes it to where it's kind of endorsing the fact that you want to take on a hit. Keep in mind that this character does AoE taunt, and that's going to be forcing characters basically to hit into her. And so if you can have some sort of advantage by getting a turn meter push from that, that also could be excellent for you to be able to rotate and just building up your blood bloodshed stacks even faster. And then of course, pushing into the end game, I definitely would recommend the Colossal Guard. This is going to be giving you some extra defense and effect res, making it much harder for your opponents to be able to, one, nuke you, but then also two, making it harder for them to land debuffs on you. Of course, there's always ever evolving options, but these are just some of the go-tos that I would recommend. As far as skill prioritization, I would definitely recommend the skill 2 first, with the first major node increasing the rate of shield based on consumed HP to 105%. The second one will increase the shield provided by each stack of bloodshed to 4%. The third node would then increase the rate of shield based on consumed HP to 120%. And the last one here will increase the shield provided by each stack of bloodshed to 5%. Then getting into the third skill, which would be the next one to invest in, it would be increasing the chances of inflicting taunted to 60% in the standard form. And then it will also in the next node increase the rate of real damage added based on current HP to 11% in the ultimate form. The next node will be increasing the recovery percentage to 20% in the ultimate form. And then the final one here will increase the rate of real damage added based on current HP to 13% in the ultimate form. And then lastly, of course, we have the skill 1, with the first node increasing the rate of damage dealt based on HP loss to 100%. Then the second one will be increasing the percentage of damage sharing to 25%. The third node here will increase the HP recovery upon assuming ultimate form to 30%. And then lastly, it will increase the HP trigger percentage of gaining bloodshed to 12%. Now, as far as shell recommendations, I would definitely say in the early game, you could definitely go into Shadowrunner and utilize the Unbridled Science. So after the owner takes action, increases their strike prep by 30%. You could also technically still use Teacher Owl as well. This is going to be fulfilling the matrices that are available in early game. And this also is going to have, before the owner takes action, empowers the owner Animus, increasing the healing results by 1600 this turn. Now, when we go over to Kururu is going to have a couple that I would definitely recommend, which is going to be Star. So before the owner takes action, reduces their next skill cooldown by 1 turn. And then you also have Mermaid Princess. So before the owner takes action, if the owner Animus has debuffs, purifies 2 debuffs. I would definitely say with Fabian, you have the Diamond Heart, which is before the owner takes action, applies a 2-turn defense up, then applies a 2-turn shield equal to 300% of own defense on the owner Animus and ally with the lowest HP percentage. Going into Whitney, we have another one that I definitely would say could work, Shanhai Jing. So for every 3 actions accumulated by the enemy units, increases the owner's strike prep by 20% and can be triggered up to 1 time per turn. You also have the Electro Squid who can work. So before the owner takes action, increases the healing by 35% this turn, and if the healed target has less than 50% HP percentage, then it also applies a heal over time for 2 turns. Nico Nada, this one I would definitely say you have Gigabyte that could be usable. For every 3 actions accumulated by the enemy units, increases the owner's strike prep by 30% and can be triggered up to 1 time per turn. And then you also have Alicorn who could be used. So before the actions that the owner is going to take, the owner has debuffs if they have debuffs, dispels 2 debuffs, and for every 1 debuff dispelled, recovers 8% max HP. I would even say that Artisan can work in certain scenarios where if before the owner takes an action, it applies a 2-turn defense up and then applies 2-turn shield equal to 380% of own defense to the owner Animus and the ally with the lowest HP percentage. And then lastly, when we shift over into Asarte and Sharon, I would definitely say Sharon, not really so much, but Asarte, we have the Big Bad Lighthouse, which triggers when the main body takes cumulative damage greater than 25% of max HP, healing the main body for 20% of max HP and increasing 35% strike prep. Now, as far as some pros and cons with Tiamat, starting out with the pros, I think some of the biggest ones she has is that 1, she's able to AoE taunt an entire team. That's going to allow her to be able to take on a ton of the damage, if not all of it, if she can successfully taunt the opposing side. And this is going to further allow her to amplify her kit of losing HP and then being able to sustain with shield for her entire party and granting a heal over time. She also has a really solid kit that allows her to be able to restore her own HP and further allowing her to build up bloodshed stacks even quicker the more HP value that she's losing. Now, the big thing with her as well that I would say is a huge pro is not only does she offer you all of the support as a tank, as a support, but then she can become a DPS when she transforms. I would definitely say the biggest con that Tiamat has is simply put that she's always riding on a prayer. Her gimmick is literally always about reducing and consuming her own HP. And up until the point of her being able to transform, she still is in her base form. And her base form is definitely a form that can still be nuked. And so when you're working and operating with these lower values, yes, the shield does help. Yes, the heal over time does help. But keep in mind that you kind of want her to be at these lower values, because when she transforms, that's actually going to be affecting the potency of how hard she's able to actually hit. And really, if you want Tiamat to be effective, you have to find the perfect balance in building a team comp surrounding her to allow her to successfully being able to execute this. So that's going to be that with the Abyssal Nightmare Tiamat. I hope that this was able to give you a better understanding of what crazy value you currently now have on your account, and or hopefully something you might be aiming to try to get. Now, of course, with that, I will need your help per usual to just ensure that you guys make sure that you like and you share this video so that more people can learn about Tiamat and all of her greatness. I appreciate you guys for watching. Everyone, stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.